there, I'm Carrie with Clear, and I'm sitting here with some of my favorite people. At Clear, we help customers evaluate their IT strategies and roadmaps and look at trends in the marketplace to see where things are going. And so I've got Mandy here with me with Voyant and Dustin with TierPoint. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that y'all are seeing in the marketplace. Yep. So Mandy, what makes Voyant different than other providers in the marketplace?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Carrie. So I'm Mandy with Voyant, and I'm sure some of you have not heard of us. I know when I started working here, that was definitely the theme in this room.
And now we think you're great.
Right, and now we work together all the time and partner together. I know, Dustin, we're not competitors, so it's fine. But Voyant, we're a voice infrastructure company, and we actually own our own network, which happens to be the largest local voice network in the country. So we actually cover about 92% of the country. We're in over 11,000 rate centers. So running some of the biggest providers out there today over our network, over 3,000 rate centers just in Canada alone. So that's really what sets us apart. We really focus just on the voice, and that's where we excel. So think standalone zip trunking in your enterprise space. We do have a UCaaS solution, and then actually a standalone API back solution as well.
Sounds exciting.
Right?
Okay, so Dustin, tell us a little bit about TierPoint.
I appreciate being here, Carrie and Mandy. Great to join you. So at TierPoint, we have a motto, meet you where you are. And what does that mean? At TierPoint, we know every enterprise is at a different path in its IT transformation. And we specialize on being a partner in working to fully understand those unique business needs and requirements to craft an end-to-end solution. And our experts are across the country can offer in-depth knowledge of your regional economy, as well as meet you face-to-face to discuss your challenges and business goals.
Sounds like you're very flexible.
We are very flexible. That's what the one message I always like to leave with customers and partners alike is when you think of TierPoint, think of flexibility.
Sounds good. So Mandy, what trends do you see in the UCaaS space?
Yeah, and I think this actually kind of goes further than just UCaaS, but Dustin, you mentioned some disaster recovery, and that's, I think, really relevant today with the coronavirus. I was going to HIMSS next week, which was just canceled. But even with the tornadoes in Tennessee, I think what we're really seeing the most has to do with having a business continuity and disaster recovery plan in place. Companies more and more really relying on having a mobile strategy, right? More and more people are working from home, and really having that overall kind of digital transformation and making sure that you have the ability to let your workforce, not just bring your laptop home, but really be able to work kind of from anywhere, not just internationally, but just really that remote plan. So from a voice perspective, that's call forwarding, having your mobile soft clients available, auto attendants being able to be updated from anywhere, hunt groups, who's available, when they're available, and having those changes being able to be made on the fly. So that's something that Carrie and I can definitely come in and help you with.
So it sounds like, once again, flexibility.
Right, a common theme that you're hearing today.
So Dustin, what are some of the trends you're seeing?
Dustin, your handwriting. Maybe not so flexible.
Not so flexible.
I know. So what are the trends you're seeing with your clients? Sorry, there was some scratches.
To piggyback off what Mandy was talking about on the trends around DR and disaster recovery, I'd say that's probably the strongest area of focus for myself right now and the clients out there that I work with and the partners as well. With all of the tendencies for natural disaster that we witnessed over the last several years, with the human error that's involved a lot of times with some of these outages, as well as the rampant ransomware that's making the news and hurting companies, locking them out of their systems, and demanding large sums of money to turn things back on. I think customers are really evaluating what their disaster and business continuity plan truly looks like. What's the impact of their business if they do lose applications? Do they have workers sitting around twiddling their thumbs, or are they missing shipments, or what's the damage to their reputation? And that that's beside the point of even having to pay these ransom that these thieves are demanding. I think that's top of mind for a lot of folks. And you've got a lot of strategic infrastructure out there, in particular around IBM legacy systems, mainframes, AS400s, that a lot of businesses completely rely upon. So I spend a lot of my time having those types of conversations. It's not if, it's when you get breached, unfortunately. It's really about how quickly you can recover, if you are breached, and get things back up operational and continuing your business. So that's where I like to focus. Gartner says on average, the cost of downtime is around $5,600 per minute. That result is dependent on your business. But I think, when people start thinking about what that dollar impact is to their business and the reputational impact, these DR services start to make a lot of sense, and the barrier to entry from a cost perspective are not as great as they used to be. There's technologies out there, there's the as-a-service model that allows companies to come up with a nice resiliency plan that works for their business as well as their budget.
Wow, that's outrageous. Did you say $5,600 a minute?
Yeah, can be more. You think about some of these bigger companies that have a lot of employees, that have a lot of financial transactions, or their manufacturing facilities, or a logistical company that have drivers out there picking up loads that those orders don't get fulfilled if they don't have access to their system to direct those drivers to where they need to go. So it all works together, and I think that's why we're all here together today, because it's not we do a lot, but we don't do everything. And that's where we need our partners and to kind of bring solutions together to work with the client to meet them where they're at from their business perspective and help fill some of the holes that they have in their strategy.
Yeah, definitely.
So Mandy, do you see a large push towards Microsoft Teams for voice?
Yeah, I think that's a huge conversation right now. I think, you hear Microsoft Teams. Microsoft is obviously pushing that really heavily. You hear Skype for Business is kind of end of life. They're really pushing that. They're kind of forcing it, I think, on a lot of customers out there. Of it's not really, like Dustin said, it's not really a when, it's if you're going there. So in terms of that direction from a Voyant perspective, we kind of have two ways of looking at that. If that's going to become your PBX and that's going to be your voice solution, we can be the back-end network from a zip trunking perspective, and we're more than happy to kind of whiteboard that out and have that conversation with you. But if you really need that traditional PBX functionality, I know I talked last time about the call forwarding, the hunt groups, the auto attendant, that's not really there with Microsoft Teams. It's not there yet. It's probably on the roadmap, but if that's what you're used to and that's what your company needs, you're probably gonna wanna look at more of a hosted voice feature functionality set. So we also have that from a UCaaS solution. And Carrie, to go back what you were just talking about with Dustin, I think Clear does something really well in that you almost become an extension, you yourself and the Clear team, of really learning a lot about the people that you work with. So questions like these where I think you really immerse yourself in wanting to know. So before you bring in, Dustin or myself or companies like Nutanix, you have the capability to kind of learn as much as you can and be dangerous, and kind of like Dustin said, really learn what the customer's needs are before we really get into the deep dives and proposals and things like that, which I think is really the reason for our podcast today, right? Being that trusted advisor. So if these points of conversation seem interesting, and if these trends are really relevant to you out in the podcast viewership world today, as you can see behind us, we're starting a brew crew, right? So come join us, your lovely hosts, as we tour the DFW brewery scene. We'll be starting here in April, so our information will be made available after this podcast. You can reach out to any of us to learn more, and we hope to see you next month.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.